problems. And I certainly hope that there are some human hands at AT&T that's solving my AT&T outage problem right now. I also hope that everybody fared well during the rains of this in this past week. If you do have any issues or need help, we do have a care team, right? So if there's flooding in your area or you need I don't know, a couple of folks to come out and help you with something, or change light bulbs. Is that what that was, Susan? Oh. Feel free to reach out to care@HoustonOasis.org. The care team will be in touch with you then. Before we get started, does anyone have any things that they want to celebrate with the community? Anything that happened in the last week or that's coming up? Go ahead, Susan. It's his birthday today, actually. Yeah, Ken Ishmert's birthday is today.
On the key B flat. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you. And mine's next Tuesday.
Excellent.
It's always
Is Sai here? Oh, do you want to quickly? Because he has an announcement as well. I think you're a little bit taller than me, aren't you?
Hello, everybody. My name is Sai. For those of you who don't know, I've been coming to Oasis for almost 9 months now, and I'm moving back to India, where I'm from.
Oh, wow.
The coming Monday, so I got a job. My girlfriend and family, everyone is there, so it's been in works for a few months, so yeah. I'll be missing Houston and Oasis in particular, and Buc-ee's. For some reason, I fell in love with Buc-ee's. Yeah, so before coming to Oasis, it's always been, I felt a little, not exactly lonely, but little drab, but having met many wonderful people here, Jacob, Emily, Tim Sledge, Perla, David, Verena. I can go on and on. I don't want to name everybody. Laura, Steve. I mean, sorry if I'm missing some names. Don't take it personally. But it's been wonderful months. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional, but yeah. And I have many ideas to take back home. Oasis and similar such ideas like Montrose Center itself, wherein they are taking care of communities, and Young Center, which is in the museum district, and the museums overall in Houston are great. Many things which I learned and which I want to implement going forward. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will so absolutely miss you, Sai. And if you are coming back to Houston to visit, please come and see us.
Yeah, probably I may, because I'll be taking a job at ExxonMobil.
Woo!
Yeah, so maybe I'll visit.
Awesome. And at some point, we might plan a road trip and come and visit you. Okay, so we got a fun program for you all today. We have obviously music as well as a main talk. Let's go. Oh, and I should also let you know already, today is Bring Your Own Lunch Day. If you didn't bring a lunch, don't worry about it. We'll be ordering some in as well. But certainly after lunch, rather than going to a restaurant, we'll be staying here and just enjoying community a little bit more. I know some folks have already ordered some food to be brought in as well. So just wanted to put that out there. Music today is by Dr. Henry Dara. Okay. And I promised him I would get this wrong. So he's an educator, composer, arranger, trombonist, pianist, vocalist, and recording artist. He's adjunct faculty at the University of Houston Clear Lake and has a few singles, including the Bushwick Bill Story, COVID-19, and My Best Day. And we're ready to hear a couple songs from you, Henry.
All right, thank you. I'm glad to be here again. This next one, or this first one rather, is I'm making it up as I go along. When I got here earlier, I realized being in the Montrose and being here in this community that I was surrounded by some people who knew Ray Hill. I met Ray on the Luther unit in 2001, 2002, so not in my bio is that I am a convicted felon. I got off parole 2011, and I registered to vote because of Ray Hill, the Ray Hill bill, the very next day. So there, as my Aunt Kathleen would say, so there. So this song is for Ray Hill. Working title is For Ray Hill. Now it's blues for Ray. Rabble rouser. I'm also a rabble rouser, but so is Ray. Oh my gosh. If you didn't know Ray, he was a rabble rouser. What rhymes with rabble rouser? Something that ends with ER. Ray Hiller. I'll be more serious in the next song, as far as you know. Activist for everyone. Sober. I think of the prison show. I went there a lot when I got out, got sober. Rabble rouser. Let's get back to that. Rabble rouser was Ray Hill. If you didn't know, I bet you know. If you didn't know who Ray Hill is, maybe go look at his Wikipedia. Or if you get lucky, you get his movie. How do I get out of the song about Ray? I don't know. How do you get Ray to stop talking? Y'all are laughing. Absolutely no Ray. I'm gonna take it home now. As far as you know. So this is a joke. Thank you. It's on my next record. As far as you know, that seems to be a running gag today. So this next song is by Antonius Carlos Jobim. Sky so vast as the sky, with faraway clouds just wandering by. Where do they go? Oh, I don't know. When that speaks to the leaves, telling stories that no one believes. Stories of love belong to you and me. Oh, Genji, if I only had words, I would say all the beautiful things that I see when you're with me. Oh, my Genji. Oh, Genji, like the sound of the wind in the trees, that's how my heart is singing, Genji. Happy Genji, when you're with me. I love you more each day. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'd let you go away if you'd take me with you. Don't you know, Genji, I'll be running and searching for you like a river that can't find the sea. That would be me without you, Genji. love you more each day. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'd let you go away if you take me with you. Don't you know, Genji? I'd be running and searching for you like a river that can't find the sea. That would be me without you, Genji. Sky's so fast as the sky, faraway clouds just wandering by.
Thank you very much. Really love that impromptu tribute to Ray Hill, who's definitely has a lot of friends and fans in our community. So thank you for that. Okay, so next up is going to be Adam Chaney, our main talk. The way we're going to do it today is we're going to have Adam speak, then we're going to go into coffee break, and afterwards we're going to do some Q&A before we end out. So Adam will describe how he got out of faith-based nonprofits and into secular nonprofit work. He's an advocate, activist, and a former evangelical pastor. He's currently Development Director for FCAC, a nonprofit advocacy center for children and parents involved in the child welfare system. Welcome, Adam, and looking forward to your talk. You brought your fan club, too. You're good. Okay, very good.
This microphone's way too low. Yeah, I wonder why. Is my water bottle fishing? Hello, I'm Adam. First of all, let me get this computer set up. I want to say a huge thank you to Oasis, first and foremost, but then also to my good friend Perla. If you know Perla, raise your hand. Good God. That's a lot. What's happening here, bro? Kevin. It won't wake up. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right, we're in business. I'm going to take this off of here in just a second. Kevin, you're so helpful. Oh, you want? Okay, all right. But you don't want me to use both at the same time? All right. Oh, hey, there we go. I'm sorry I made a comment about your short microphone. Let me get this into presenter mode. Perla and I have known each other for ever. I don't know. How long? 12 years, more than that, eh? No? Only 12 years? It feels like forever, y'all. I am going to tell you a little bit more about myself as soon as this gets going. There we go. Nope, that's the wrong one, y'all. All right, I promise this is happening. It is very interesting for me to be here right now. This is, I've done many talks. Sorry, y'all. Canva is not working with me right now. I've preached thousands of sermons. I've written thousands of sermons, and this is the first time I've ever prepared like this type of talk for this type of setting. This is not my first time at Oasis. I actually came here to hear a friend of mine speak a couple months ago. Now we're in business, y'all. You can applaud for my technical skills if you'd like. I promise I'm going to get on track here. Bear with me. Thank you very much. Okie dokie. It's me. All right. Greetings. My name's Adam. And so it's not my first time here, but it is my first time speaking, and it is really exciting because the majority of my experience standing up in front of a room full of people with a microphone talking to them about something in a persuasive way comes from being in an evangelical context, specifically a Baptist context. Someone this morning asked me if I was from Rehoboth, Delaware. I believe that was Paige. I am not. I'm from Houston, Texas. What? Oh, cool. I never have. Closest I've been to Delaware is Vermont. Are those even close? Anyways. So this is a great experience because I just like it, the way I prepared for it was a little bit different. And like I still speak in churches, I still do funerals, I still do weddings, but I am not a pastor and I am not involved in evangelical Christianity at all. So how did it start? I'm from Houston. I was born and raised here in 1987. So I am like a Houston native. That's kind of rare these days to find someone who's been here and stayed here. I did live a couple of other places very briefly in my life, but Houston's always been home. My family's from here. I'm raising my kids here. I have 2 children, a 12-year-old whose birthday was yesterday, not today, yesterday. And I have an 8-year-old as well, and we love Houston. I love Houston. And so when I found out about Oasis through my friend Perla, I was so excited to know that you guys existed and that you've been existing for so long. I didn't know you existed because I was deeply involved in evangelical life. If I did know you existed, I probably thought you were full of demons or something. I grew up in the church. I grew up in the Heights. I'm a Heights kid. And so I was baptized into the Baptist community at the age of 5. And I'm a articulate, tall, young, white man. And I was in an evangelical community, so you can only imagine what type of power that handed me without me even doing anything to try to seize it. And so growing up in that context, I was immediately empowered and privileged with all the things, right? And I thought that was normal. I thought that was God. I thought that was a divine plan, right? And so I'm an ambitious individual, and I stepped into it with all that I had. Grew up in a Baptist context. In each level of kind of church leveling up, I took more and more steps into leadership, eventually going to Houston Baptist University, which is now Houston Christian University, where I got my undergraduate degree in theology, and then went on to Truett Theological Seminary at Baylor University. Are there any Bears in the house? None. Well, whatever. I heard somebody earlier mention the Aggies. Don't identify yourself. And so I have a master's degree in theology as well. I am a trained theologian. I've written all sorts of stuff, talked about all sorts of stuff. As I was growing up in that context, though, one of the main things that you start to learn very quickly in an evangelical context is about missions work. Especially, I was a 90s kid, right? Born in 87. So, like, my youth experience in the Baptist context, in the evangelical context, was in the 90s. And if you know anything about that time, missions, short-term missions in particular, was a really big deal. Still kind of is, but it was a really big deal then. And what I mean by short-term missions is you would get a bunch of young people, and then they would get a bunch of young people, and then you would get a bunch of money from all the old people in the church, and then you would go to some foreign land. Now, that foreign land might be New Orleans, but it might also be Ethiopia, okay? I've done both. Those Christians love to give money if you're going to Ethiopia, though, let me tell you, because those people are different and they need Jesus, right? It's very colonial. I'm going to get into all of this stuff deeper, I promise. But I've been around the world a couple times over. I've been in many countries. I've seen many things. I've done many things, the majority of which was in the context of white savior colonialism called missions work. And so the reason why I tell you that is because that was my first introduction into evangelical philanthropy. You had to raise money to go to Ethiopia. It cost a lot of money to go to Ethiopia for 2 weeks and come back having done absolutely nothing except for spend money. I became a senior, I was an associate, I was a youth pastor, I was an associate pastor, I was a senior pastor, I've done all the things. This is me graduating. I promise I'm not just like so in love with myself that I wanted to show you a bunch of pictures. I just wanted to prove to you that what I'm telling you is true. This is me pastoring. I pastored for 4 years in a small rural church outside of Waco, Texas. If you've heard of the town of Riesel, Texas, raise your hand. How? You got a ticket? You what? Yeah, there's only one way to get there. You got to go through it. Yeah, but have you ever gotten a ticket? Yeah, look, see, most people, it is a, like, they wear Speed Trap proudly. They're like, this is how we pay for our garbage collection. Like, we are going to pull you over. It's a small town of 1,000 people. I pastored. Okay, I like crowd interaction. Riesel, Texas is a town of 1,000 people on the outskirts of Waco, Texas. It's very rural. I want you to guess how many churches, faith-based churches, I'm not even talking about one denomination. Like, I'm saying the Catholics, the Methodists, the Lutherans, the Baptists. How many churches do you think that one town of 1,000 people had? Yeah, go, what do you think? 5? How many? Now, that's crazy. 2, what was it? 12 is the right answer. 12. How many Baptist churches, though, right? 4. And guess what? That town was founded in like 18-something. All 4 of those Baptist churches came from the same, they all split from one another. Split. We don't like the way you do music. Split. We don't like the person you picked to be the pastor. Split. I was pastor. Y'all want to know which one I was a pastor of, though, right? The first one. First Baptist Church of Riesel, Texas. Anyways. Small church, about 100 people in attendance every week. So that's 10% of the population of that small town. And there was 1 million other churches in town. So we were doing pretty well, all things considered. But again, the reason why I'm telling you that is because when I stood in this pulpit right here in Riesel, it was a whole other experience of evangelical philanthropy. Because here I am at the top of an organization as a pastor with lots of responsibilities. And the number one responsibility that they cared about, other than like all the crazy stuff, is raising money. Because you got to pay the bills, keep the lights on, etc. So that was a different experience, right? This is me now. Don't I look happier? I don't know. So that's a little bit of the background. I'm skipping over a lot, but I have a ton of experience in the evangelical world. And I just need to lay that foundation because I'm not going to talk so nicely about the evangelical world today. And I'm not doing that out of a place of like trying to be mean or attacking or tearing down or disparaging, or maybe a little bit of disparaging. But it is the world I lived in. I was the fish in the fishbowl. I was the frog in the boiling water. Like I was a golden boy, Perla wants to make that noted. I was just fully immersed in that world until I wasn't. And that actually, that actually happened while I was in seminary. Has anybody ever heard like, hey, don't go to seminary because it's a cemetery? Have you ever heard that? Anybody ever heard that? Well, it's something that super evangelicals tell to to young people with intellectual potential. They say, look, you don't need formal education, because if you do, you're just going to lose your faith. I'm a smart dude, and I'm like, no, I won't. I want to learn my faith better. Like I read Hebrew, I read Greek, I read Latin. I can do all the things. I'm a theologian, okay? And so I'm like, wouldn't that make me a better devotee of this faith tradition? They say, no. If you do that, you'll lose your faith. You'll be too intellectual. Your heart will come unplugged as your brain plugs in, and then you're going to lose your faith, and it's going to all fall apart. And I was, no way. I've been around the world. I've been, I've grown up in this. Well, the truth is, that's where I lost my faith, was in seminary. It absolutely was a cemetery for me, and I am really grateful for that fact. So now when people say that to me, I'm like, I almost cussed. I can't cuss. You're right. I did. And here's why. Here's why. Briefly, many things. But for me, my experience when I ended up, my second year in seminary, I went through a four-year degree program, which is god-awful long. But the second year I was there is when, and I'm not trying to get super political. This is just like the timeline of my life, and it's important. The second year of seminary, when I'm parsing Greek verbs and reading broadly, historically, culturally, socially, I had a very, very good education. I will hand that to Baylor University, an exceptional graduate program. I would not trade it for the world, even now. I don't regret a second of it. But at the same time, Donald Trump became president, and I watched all of like the evangelical people in my life that I looked up to, that I trusted, that I saw as mentors and teachers and fathers and mothers and people who shaped me and formed me. And suddenly, and I'm standing in a pulpit in the middle of a rural town in central Texas, and suddenly I go, wait, I'm such a Christian, but that dude is not. This was the Access Hollywood tape days, right? This was like the beginning. We're all so desensitized to it now, but this was the beginning. And I was like, dude, there's no way. I'm like, that can't, these two roads are like departing from one another, right? And it was devastating. And as I got deeper into my studies, every week I'd stand in a pulpit and have to remember, here my whole job was to lead a group of people in a certain way, but to raise money, grow the church, increase all these things. But this huge chasm kept forming every single week where this guy and this guy, he would think one thing, but he'd have to say something different. Does that make sense? Yeah. And, but by that time I had 2 kids, married 2 kids, my entire life was wrapped up in this world, right? My income, my friends, my family, my future, my career, everything, my housing, everything was wrapped up in this world. And so I felt stuck because I didn't I'm an atheist now. It was a slow fade as I saw more and more people who claim to be very faithful Christians do crazy stuff and believe things that were just completely antithetical to everything that I had built my faith on. So, long story short, I graduated from here and within 3 weeks quit my job here. But okay, and before you come for me, this church right here, when I left, was 125 years old the year I left. I was a senior pastor there for 4 years. 4 years. I was the second longest tenured pastor in the church's history. The only other pastor who had stayed longer than me was 2 pastors before me, and he had stayed, guess how many years? 5. His name was Brock, if you want to go look him up. He lives in North Carolina. Anyways, the guy in between me and Brock murdered his wife and is in prison. Okay. So what I want to talk today a little bit, and I can't wait for Q&A. Look, honestly, my preference in front of groups of people, I wish I could just stand here. Y'all just pepper me with questions, but you don't know what to ask me until you know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to talk about some stuff. I'm going to do a little compare and contrast this morning between evangelical philanthropy and secular philanthropy, specifically the approaches to them, motivations, methods, impacts. Now, I just get the vibe that there's some real smart people in here. Look, I'm an academic too. I got degrees. I might not have a PhD, but I hear you. So let me define some terms from the outset. Also, wait, a quick side note. I've been really trying to use AI because, it's coming for all of us, so we better, use it. And so I had AI design this PowerPoint presentation first, and the bot put that in there, so whatever. I was like, atheism, should I change that to something else? I was like, nah, let's leave it because The Oasis crowd will love it. The terms I actually want to define, though, are evangelical and secular. Since that's the compare and contrast that I'm going to be doing today, I'm going to use these terms broadly, like very broadly. Maybe like in an academic setting, like you wouldn't use them this broadly. But so I want you to think of them as kind of catch-alls. I don't know how y'all define secular. I mean, I love this. I love all of this. I agree with all of this. But when it comes to evangelical, originally in this talk, I kind of had Christian philanthropy or faith-based philanthropy. And the thing is, that is not exactly what I mean, because not all Christians are the same, but most evangelicals are the same. Just because there is an underlying theology and philosophy that fuels that branch of Christianity, and so that's what I'm going to talk about. So when I say evangelical, I don't just mean the Baptist context that I grew up in, but think charismatic, just evangelical in the sense that a Christian faith that must be spread, okay? And then secular is everything that's not that, okay? Well, non-faith-based philanthropy. Before I move on, are there any, professionally, are there any professional fundraisers, development directors, grant writers? 2, 3, okay. Okay, all right. Hey, what's up, bro? You come here? You do this? Hey, okay. All right, this should be fun. Okay, so we're going to do a little compare and contrast. First, we need to understand what we mean by philanthropy. That's the other term that kind of needs some definition here. Philanthropy is the act of giving back to society, right? So philanthropy has been this fundamental aspect of human interaction and human civilization for centuries. And as we explore the landscape of philanthropy today, it will only be in part, but it's essential to understand that the different motivations and impacts behind evangelical and secular approaches are just that, different. In many ways they're the same, we're going to talk about it, but in many ways they're different, and it is in the difference that I think the danger exists, and I'll get there. The two paradigms of giving, while aiming to improve society, that is to say, to do good, and however you define those terms, they hold that in common, but often diverge significantly in those motivations, methods, and those outcomes. What do y'all think? I do a good job on the random, who are they? Can't really tell the skin color. Anyways.
They're all white. Yeah.
Are they? See,
Right.
I said racially ambiguous. That's not racially ambiguous to you? Whatever. Let's talk about core motivations. That's true, isn't it? The motivations are important. Evangelical philanthropy is deeply rooted in religious belief, first and foremost. You wouldn't say that about secular philanthropy, right? Because, again, the definitions. For many evangelicals, giving is a direct expression of their faith. It is a way, for many, the way to honor God and to spread religious values. The core motivation often stems from a biblical mandate to do it. It's a rule. It's required. And that mandate is also to love and to serve others. Very charitable. Which includes spreading the message of the faith. Oh, now we're not so charitable. This can sometimes blur the lines, and I would say, maybe I should be stronger, this almost always blurs the lines between altruistic giving and proselytization. Right. And the act of giving is intertwined with the desire to expand religious influence and pursue social conquest. Look, when I raised money in an evangelical context, I thought I was doing the best, the most good for the most people. But there is always an underlying motivation That is, I'm not just doing this for the good of all the people, but I am doing this because I am a part of an organized community that has at its core a mission of social cultural dominance. Is Oasis on a mission of social cultural dominance? What's the first one? I wish I had these memorized. People are more important than beliefs. Right there, you're different. Because in the world I come out of, beliefs are more important than people, simply put. Anyway, okay. So in contrast, secular philanthropy. Secular philanthropy generally focuses on the well-being of individuals and communities without that underlying objective of religious expansion. Now, some of y'all might be here because you're all about, I don't know, progressive values being expanded, but I would venture to guess that everyone in the room isn't trying to make all of society believe in the exact same thing you believe in, right? The motivations here are often driven by a sense of social responsibility, empathy, and the desire to contribute to the common good, full stop. Stop. And you're probably pissed off about like the government, right? They suck. They don't do a good job. So nonprofits need to step into the gap and handle some social services because the government is wackadoo, right? Okay. There's that motivation as well that we have to point out. Their goal is to create a more accessible and equitable society where all residents thrive in the pursuit of community and contentment. Can I get an amen? I will take your laughter as such. Some more critiques and challenges. Both evangelical and secular philanthropy have been criticized for perpetuating colonialist attitudes and the white savior complex. Now, I am throwing the seculars under the bus here too a little bit. In the context of evangelical giving, this can manifest as paternalistic approaches where donors impose their values and solutions on recipient communities, no matter if that's Houston, New Orleans, or Ethiopia, which, hello, different cultures, yes? So perhaps different approaches would be necessary, but no, the Bible says to do it one way, often without nuance, understanding of local cultures and their needs. The desire to spread their religious beliefs can sometimes overshadow the actual needs of the communities they aim to help. That's important. Leading to initiatives that serve who? The donor's interest, not the recipients. Secular philanthropy is not immune to this critique, though, and these challenges. Even well-intentioned efforts can inadvertently reinforce power imbalances and dependency, especially when aid is delivered from a position of superiority and power. The patriarchy can also play a role in both forms of philanthropy, where decision-making and resource distribution are dominated by, well, y'all know who they are, the privileged few. They look like me, I look like them, often marginalizing the very voices they aim to uplift. Being on both sides of that world, also, like, if I go, I'm like deeply afraid that I'm gonna go over time. Like, you're sitting there, like, you want to play the next song. So, somebody tell me to shut up if I get to that point. Perfect. So this is a pitfall that we have to be aware of on both sides, right? Because just because you're not a part of Christian nationalism doesn't mean that you might not have some paternalistic, colonialistic ways of seeing people who have a different lived experience than you, which is why it is critically important for lived experience to be involved in those decision-making places, in those positions of power, at those tables, and the secular community still has some work to do there. Inclusivity is one thing to talk about. It's another thing to like make it happen and to ensure that all voices are represented when it comes to strategizing on how to best do the philanthropic work. Let me scooch quickly through here. Who benefits? This is important. Most of the money that's raised in the evangelical context is raised for evangelical context. Did you just whoop? Louder. No, because when you go into those contexts and you raise money, they go, "Well, yeah, but are you proclaiming the name of Jesus?" Yes. Okay, then the resources are yours. If you say no, sorry, the resources aren't yours. Even if it's building water wells in a place that doesn't have clean water, well, sorry, if you're not going to do it in the name of Jesus, we can't fund you. Right? Why? Well, because while you're digging that water well, you better convert them to Christianity. The secular approach is obviously more broad. I'm going to skip to the end here. I talked way too. One other thing I want to say is the evangelical philanthropic community does not see a limitation to the resources because it's divine. One of the phrases that we would use all the time in evangelical fundraising was, God owns every cow on every hill, all the cattle on all the hills. So if God is in it, God's going to provide. It doesn't really matter what type of oversight. It doesn't really matter what your strategic plan is. It doesn't really matter how you're managing those funds. God's going to provide. And if it is difficult to raise money, you should pray more or hang out with more Christians, right? But the core fundamental belief is there's plenty of resources. We're going to be okay. Do whatever. Y'all, in the secular community, we don't feel that same way, do we? There is the exact opposite where we think that resources are extremely limited. Y'all, we live in Houston, Texas. That resources are extremely limited, that fundraising is very difficult. We have to compete with one another for funding. I would like for that to change. I work for, you know what? It doesn't matter who I work for. Okay, well, I'm running out of time, and that's my greatest fear. In conclusion, while both evangelical and secular philanthropy aim to make a positive impact, their ultimate goals and methods often differ significantly. Evangelical philanthropy can be seen as a pursuit of power and social conquest aimed at homogenizing society under a specific ideology, but in contrast, secular philanthropy strives to make society more accessible, equitable, driven by humanitarian values, which are like really well articulated here, and the desire for social impact. The culture of giving, however, within evangelical circles fosters a community-driven approach to fundraising. Y'all, I used to go do this exact same thing in front of churches, and I would say, hey, we're doing good work, and we really need your money, and I would walk out of that room like shooting fish in a barrel with 50 grand in my pocket. Because there's a culture of philanthropy. Y'all don't pass a plate here. That's cool. I'm not saying you should. But I'm saying when you do, like if every Sunday everyone showed up here knowing that they were going to give money, and like you had this like angry God that demanded that you give at minimum 10% of your income to something, you would give more money. It's built in. So I'm kind of knocking that, but I'm kind of not knocking that. There is a built-in philanthropic culture. I'm getting close to the end. Making it easier to gather large sums of money. On the other hand, secular philanthropy often relies on formal appeals to wealthy foundations, large corporations, resulting in an extremely impersonal corporate giving landscape. The biggest difference between raising money in the evangelical world and in the secular world, which is what I do now, is I don't get to hang out with individual people and they just write me big fat checks because they think I'm doing the Lord's work. I have to write very formal appeals to these old foundations, these families, and I have to it's so much harder. It's so much harder because they also have that lack mindset. Okay, we'll do Q&A. That was an artless ending, but thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Adam. Before we do Q&A, we're actually going to do a coffee break. But before we go into the coffee break, there's a couple of announcements that I have, and then I think Richard does as well. One of the things that we'll want to do, and we should really hire you for some fundraising, because we do struggle with the language.
Did you say hire? That's excellent.
Well, you're going to donate that time,
I raise money for my children too, you know what I'm saying?
There's a couple of things that are on our radar as the fundraising committee, which we do have. If anybody else wants to participate, please let me know. We are planning on a family fund fundraising day in November 2nd, I think. It's a Saturday. We'd love some help with organizing that particular day. So if you are interested in participating and just kind of doing designing a 3-4 hour time for us to get together, raise some funds, have some fun together, see either Emily over there or myself, and let us know. We'll get you looped in. It's a family fun fundraising day. I suck at naming. Sorry about that.
Good alliteration.
I'm trying, yes. So yes, it's just a day for us to get together and make sure that we continue being able to do the great work that we're doing at this community. I'm learning. But we also would love, now we have these bring your own lunches. We have all sorts of times when all of you bring in great dishes. And one of the things we would love to do is actually put together a recipe book from Oasians. So we have a little bit of an outline. Emily, we can share that with anybody who's interested in. Make sure there's a sprinkle of secularism in every one of these recipes. But please share your recipes with us. We'll put them in a cookbook. It'll be ready for the November 2nd Family Fundraising Day for you all to share. Well, give yourself something wonderful for the holidays, but then also just share with your community all the great recipes that you make. So we'll be posting that on Facebook. Feel free to send them to us or just send them to board@houstonoasis.org. We'll put them in that folder and have them aggregated in a recipe book. And then Richard, you had something too?
Yeah, hey folks, I won't delay your acquisition of coffee for too long. Rich Andrews, I know most of you. If I don't know you, I look forward to meeting you. I'm one of the volunteers here. By the way, if we always welcome more volunteers. Normally in the mornings, I bring the coffee supplies and the children's toys from the storage shed to Oasis, and then afterwards I take it back. But today my brother and I are going to an Astros game, and we're gonna play hooky from Oasis, I hate to say, and leave a little bit early, so I will not be able to take the coffee supplies and toys back to the storage shed. If I could get a volunteer, if you're too shy, you can come up to me separately and take it back. It's just a few blocks from here, and you can follow other people to find out where the storage shed is, because there's other people taking other things there. Thank you. Just this one time.
Awesome, thank you all. Now we have 9 minutes and 30 seconds left for coffee break. See you in a few.
Long I had, I didn't mean to rush you.
I love it.
I also used to work for the Baptist, smoke machines and lies, telling people how to vote, who to vote for. I'll stop right there, or I won't. I don't think a pastor should fly across Houston in a helicopter to get from one campus to the other. Yes, I'm talking about you. Six Flags Over Jesus. I mean Second Baptist. I mean Six Flags Over Jesus. Just saying. That doesn't mean I don't like that guy. I just don't like y'all. Like the guy that got hit by a tree. He's governor, got hit by a tree. I mean, not everybody knows that. He got hit by a tree, then he sued, then he changed toward reform. But let's let him be in charge. Oh yeah, oh yeah. when to stop. And honestly, I'd like some coffee too. Hit by a tree. Now he's governor. What can we do? What can we do? We had a hurricane. He tweeted that he was having a good time, China. Oh, China. Thank you, governor. Hit by a tree. This song by me, Henry. Hope I don't get fired. Oh, wait. Haha. No, you don't know. Nobody's watching this. It's my last semester working for the state anyways. And I'm adjunct. Like, what are you gonna do? Take my pension? My paid time off? Oh, you even raised my parking spot fee. Yay! Hit by a tree.
has any question.
So I'm
Adam.
so afraid that nobody has any cues, but that's fine.
Well, are you still going to have A's?
I will A all over the place. There's a hand.
Hello.
Hey.
I was actually very interested in the foster kids thing.
Word. Yeah, okay, cool, thanks. I work for Foster Care Advocacy Center, so the name is confusing to many people, okay? We are not a foster care placement agency. That is not what we do. We are a law firm. The majority of people in that picture are lawyers. The rest of them are social workers. See which one is me? Okay. So what I do for so we are a nonprofit law firm. And so what we do at like the base of what we do is we provide attorneys to parents and children involved in the child welfare system. Let me back up just a little bit. When CPS gets involved in your life for whatever reason, that is a constitutional infringement. If CPS kicks down your door, who has kids? Raise your hand if you have a child at home. Okay. If CPS kicks down your door, which they can't actually kick down your door, but when they come to your door and they say, hey, for whatever reason, we have a reason to believe that your child is in danger, and we are CPS is the government, and we're taking your kid. So the government is taking your child away. Well, that's an infringement upon your constitutional rights as a parent. And so while they might have the legal cover to do that in that moment based on emergency assessments, everybody in that situation gets an attorney immediately. Or at least they should if due process is actually due. So anytime a kid goes into foster care, a court case starts. The mom of that child gets an attorney. The father of that child gets an attorney, even if they're like have a really great marriage or whatever. Like everybody gets it. Mom gets an attorney, father gets an attorney, child gets an attorney. Sometimes, depending on the circumstances and the age of that child, they might get a second attorney called a guardian ad litem. And then, obviously, the government gets an attorney, and that's locally that's the county attorney's office for child welfare, DFPS. Anyways, okay, all these government acronyms. So the fate of that child who has just been removed from your house is in the hands of those attorneys who are fighting in court in front of a judge. And then really the most powerful person in this scenario is the actual judge themselves. Elections matter. Okay. I know y'all skipped those judges on the ballots, but they are making it, I see it, yeah, I'm in the wrong place to say that, aren't I? Yeah. So what we do, we're the only organization of our type in Texas, because if you are indigent, if you are poor, and you end up in that situation, and you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. So think about in criminal context, if you can't afford an attorney to defend you, you are entitled to legal representation, and so you're gonna get a public defender. That is us, but not in the criminal world, in the child welfare world. It's this weird, like, it's constitutional law and it's civil law, but it's not criminal law. Anyways, so what we do is we only work for indigent individuals, parents, and kids who can't afford an attorney. Our specialization, what makes us really different is that we not only have attorneys, but we have social workers. So our attorneys, we have 5 of them, focus on the legal aspects of the case, while the social work team, that does have lived experience. We have a parent partner, someone who has lived the experience of having their child end up in the system. She is on our team. We have an individual who was a child in the system. He's on our team. So we have these partners that walk with our clients on the social work side, while the attorneys are doing all the litigation, and they are litigators. They stand in court and argue every day. And so that's what makes us different, and so we have really incredible outcomes. And just to be one thing I always have to clear up about FCAC, these attorneys, they're not like pro bono, they're not rich, wealthy attorneys. They could be, but they choose to be on our staff, and we pay them a full-time salary. They are not volunteering their time. They are our staff attorneys. our organization is what they do full time, which is why I exist, because I'm the development director and I have to raise money to pay all these people. So I could get way more in the weeds on all of that. But does that answer your question? So
Yes, it was completely opposite of what I was thinking.
I know it. It usually is.
Very good.
Thank you.
You have a question?
You should all look up FCAC because we do a ton of other, that was a very basic explanation of what we do, but we do have a ton of other programs to help the community. Yes, sir.
Hi there, long-time listener, first-time attender here
Yeah.
at Oasis. How was that journey for you coming out of that evangelical as a husband or a father? Was that a journey you and your wife made together? Was one already
Oh,
at that
Lord.
point?
I have an incredible wife. No, it was extremely difficult. It was very, very difficult. The deconstruction process happened for me first, and my wife kind of came along. She hated being a pastor's wife, though, so I had that on my side. She was like, screw this. She hated living in rural Texas. Had that on my side. Native Houstonian as well. So it was really hard. She was happy to leave the church. She was not happy to leave the faith. Her deconstruction process really caught fuel during the pandemic, during 2020. And honestly, it was the hardest thing we've ever gone through in our marriage. I definitely think it could have ended our marriage very easily. But for really good therapy and therapeutic drugs, we made it. Also, our relationship started pre-hardcore Christian nationalist evangelical, so we had this element of our relationship that we could lean back on. Like, we've been married 13 years now, so we had this, background that we could kind of lean into, but seriously, good therapy, and just a commitment to not give up. A lot of marriages end, though, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I'm glad mine didn't, but a lot of them need to end, because abuse takes all forms. And so Taylor, does that answer your, yeah, it's very difficult. Oh, there's a hand on the front row. Softball.
Can you elaborate on or give insight into how secular organizations can improve their fundraising mindset and approach?
Yeah, that is the biggest challenge. I am still working out what that looks like. I've been doing secular philanthropy for 3 years now. There's just something, look, Oasis has a communal element. Like, you realize this is like rare. Like, everybody else in the city that's doing this right now are at churches, right? I know there's other secular gatherings, I get it. Or like, the only other thing that this is, if we take the church out of the mix, this like community setting, politics? Like, where else does this happen? A stand-up comedy show, maybe? Right? But then they all go home and they don't actually know each other afterwards. That's the biggest deal, is finding community where like everybody has some y'all have a shared list of core values. And so like you, as a critical mass of people, you can make more impact. If Perla can only give $5 to a cause that she thinks is incredible and needs to happen, that's awesome. That's great. $5, every dollar is every dollar. $5 is just as important as $5 million. I promise you, it truly is. It truly is. But when Perla gets together with a community of people who agree with her about certain issues, not even about all the same things, and then y'all can coalesce around that and pool funds, then you have exponential impact, right? As it grows and it grows and it grows. But the secular world doesn't really have that. I mean, we go to concerts. So finding that, y'all know the concept of like the third place? like this is the third place. Like this is not home, not work, but it's a third place of gathering, of community. That's a big deal in the secular world. Finding that, I mean. And like coming out of Christianity, that was the hardest thing. You have this loss of community. I think there's that. And the other thing is I want to go back to, it really is like the abundance versus the lack of abundance mindset. I just don't know how to convey to you that the wealth let's just talk about Houston and Texas, the wealth that's around us is enormous. And it is competitive to access those dollars, but there are a lot of dollars to be accessed. And the trick is finding out who those people are. It's relationship. Like, who are those people? Where are they? What do they care about? And that takes work. All relationships take work. They take investment, time, energy, relational capital. And so there has to be a commitment to that and a belief that there is actually money out there. Yeah, I kind of want, the other comment I want to make there is like, I grew up in like extreme poverty, so I also don't want to overlook the fact that like some of us are on fixed incomes and some of us are like already pushing a boulder up a hill financially. And that obviously creates a feeling of lack, which like, okay, cool. Like, I'm not asking you to give your last penny. But if you care about something, you do have a voice and you do have a network of people and you can go advocate. It doesn't have to be your money. It could also be your time. Y'all need somebody to move coffee supplies, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody move some coffee supplies after I almost said church, after church. Oh, God. After gathering. What do you call this?
Gathering.
Yeah, cool. Okay. All right, does that?
So we actually only have time for one more
One
question.
more question, sorry. You can ask me after class. I will stand around.
One quickly, I did, after retirement, I did corporate fundraising for the ALS Association.
Oh, nice.
And I learned through a friend of mine who did fundraising for Jewish organizations, it takes 3 years to really tap into. You don't do it overnight. You don't walk.
It's not
in the door
overnight.
and get
That's right.
money. But I want to actually, what mine is unrelated to philanthropy, and it's a hardball question.
Let's go.
I grew up in heavy-duty Church of Christ, which is like Baptist on steroids. And even though I logically and rationally divorced myself from religion for years, I found years later that I had to address the psychological and the emotional damage in my outlook and my response to the world that I learned while I was in the Church of Christ.
Yeah, so exactly. Because here's the deal, when you're in that world, like, again, it's the abundance thing, it's the hope of the future thing. It's just like, okay, I know that God has a plan for the world, and even though there's all sorts of differences in Christian theology of what that plan might be or how it's going to play out, etc., like there is this thing that like humanity's moving toward that is positive, but for but the motivation is like dominance and power and not a beautiful flourishing community where reality is known through reason. And where's the hands one? Human hands solve human problems. Not that some divine being is going to solve some supernatural problems, right? And so you have to unpack that psychology of looking at the world, because people. I'm trying to not get political. People will identify other groups and they will demonize other groups of people because they think that they're on the wrong side theologically or philosophically of an issue. And so suddenly they are like manifestors of some satanic power. That's messed up, yo. Right? We're all human beings. Be accepting and be accepted. But there's a worldview shift that has to take place for you to even get to the point to where you can be open to that thought. That maybe we're all the same. I don't know if y'all saw my background, but it's one of the James Webb photos, the stardust photos. Like, we're all just stardust, man. We're all made of the same stuff.
All right. Thank you
Thanks.
so much for coming to talk with us today, Adam.
Here's my contact info.
All right, Henry, if you want to take it away for a couple more songs.
Night and day, you are the one. Only you beneath the moon and under the sun. Underneath or far, doesn't matter, darling, where you are. I think of you night and day. Day and night, why is it so that this longing for you follows wherever I go? And the roaring traffic's boom, the silence of my lonely room, I think of you night and day. Night and day, under the height of me, it's an such a hungry yearning burning inside of me, and the torment won't be through to let me still in my life making love to you day and night, night and day. Night and day, you are the one. Only you beneath the moon and under the sun. Whether near to me or far, doesn't matter, darling, where you are. I think of you night and day, day and night. Why is it so that this longing for you follows where I go? Traffic's boom, the silence of my lonely room, I think of you night and day. Night and day, under the height of me, there's such a hunger yearning burning inside of me, and this torment won't ever be through to let me spend my life making love to you day and night, night and day. Day and night, night and day, day and night, night and day. Day and night, night and day. Hey, thank you. This next song is short. Oh no. Oh, okay. It's short. It's about a dictionary, Harvard Dictionary Music song. I wrote it during Hurricane Ike, my first semester of grad school at University of Houston. Go Cougs. The Harvard Dictionary of Music. It's organized alphabetically. There are no biographical entries. What use is a book like this for? It's good for quick referencing broad musical terms, but not much more. Our library has the latest edition from 2003. It's the fourth one to be precise. The first was published in 1944. It may be worth mentioning its name was changed then back again. Do you want to hear more? In 1986, the third edition was called the New Harvard Dictionary of Music. They added 20th century music, pop and jazz. Is that really a significant reason to change its name? 17 years later, they dropped the new back to the Harvard Dictionary of Music. It's the most common single volume dictionary with a broad audience. You'll find one easy look on Amazon. I got mine for $23. Just order yours and your wildest dreams will come true. All right.
Thank you so much, Henry. Thank you so much again, Adam. Thank you all so much for being here today. Really wonderful to see you all. And one of the things that Adam kind of alluded to, things like this don't happen without the volunteers. So big shout out to all of the people who make this happen, who come in early every Sunday and deal with all sorts of emergencies during the week, getting ready to make sure our Sundays work smoothly. Obviously, of course, it does take funds to make sure we can be in this room, to make sure we can do things beyond our Sunday gatherings. And for that, I think there is a QR code on your bulletin. If you are able to contribute, please do so. If you're not, continue showing up. We love seeing everybody here. So just a couple of quick announcements. Again, we are going to have bring your own lunch today. I think Tim went to grab some lunch, and I believe it's already here, given that Tim's back. And then next week, Richard Andrews is going to give a talk on endocrine disruptors. Richard, of course, is an MD, so he's always kind of looking into some of that stuff. And I'm actually going to be back and talking more about some of the stuff that I work with professionally, and that is biotechnology and the bioeconomy. So that's going to be on the plate for next Sunday. I'm not sure, do we have, may not actually music next week, but we'll definitely have some fantastic talks and, of course, conversations with everybody here. During the week, let's see, do we have anything? There should be. Huh. There is always activities that we do, so please do hook up with us. There's a private Facebook group. If you're not in that yet, let Jennifer know. She'll make sure to get you in. Oh, the book club meeting is on the 31st. They typically meet on West Gray. What's the, yeah, oh, Cafe Express, that's right. And Linda, what's the book that you guys are going to be? Ah, okay, did everybody hear that? Okay, very good. I believe you meet typically at 7:30, correct? Something around there? 7? Okay, good. So we all work together, and we get all the details straight. If you follow us either on Facebook or Meetup, there's a number of events that are coming up that are posted. Obviously, everything will be on there as well. One of the things, if you don't see anybody signed up at Meetup, we always have the tendency to not sign up and show up. So just because there's not a whole lot of folks who are signed up yet doesn't mean that it's not a whole lot of folks who are going to be there. Aside from that, I think that's about it. Stick around for the lunch, and I don't know whether Richard found anybody who's willing to help get stuff back. Bob, awesome. So yeah, it was great seeing you all, and we'll see you again next Sunday. Thank you.